have two distinguished gentlemen. I know them both very well, but it's not my pleasure to introduce both of them. Only one I can do for now. I'll leave that for you. I won't steal your thunder, Sergeant Richards. Good morning to you. How are you doing today?
Yes, good morning, GQ. Good morning to all you listeners out there in Radio Land, via the internet, and by extension, the wider diaspora. Welcome to another edition of Policing with You. Our guest this morning, we have the distinct pleasure of having Sergeant Boone, and I'll allow him to introduce himself to the listening audience.
Well, good morning to all. As was indicated, I am Sergeant Boone, number 64 from the Police Training School, and I'll be here with you guys this morning.
So what's on your agenda this morning, Sergeant Richards?
GQ, this morning we'll be discussing what I consider to be a very integral part of the police force and policing. We'll be discussing training. That is why we invited Sergeant Boone here this morning as an instructor, one of the senior instructors of the police training school. And my first question to you, Sergeant Boone, is what is the role of the police training school within the organization of the police force?
Well, the police training school really will be the genesis of any police officer's career. That is where we form the foundation, basically, of what policing is. Added to that, the police training school should also serve as the place to go to when, you know, there's in-service training and that type of stuff. So the police training school should also be responsible for any research or update or making recommendations as to what needs to be added to the curriculum, what's important, what is the new thing, basically.
So you're saying any review of policy or any material where that police officers should know?
Definitely.
Would come from the police training school.
Definitely. So if there's any change in law and you need persons to be more guided on it, you could always send them back to the training school. If there is any new policy that needs to be implemented and you need officers to be aware of it, you could send them back to the training school. If there are persons who perhaps need any brushing up on certain things, it could be firearm training, it could be anything at all. So long as we offer that services, that's the place that you come.
Okay. So I know that the recent training course would have culminated or will be culminating today with the graduation. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely.
So how many recruits will be graduating today?
We have 25 recruits that will be graduating today who would have successfully completed the course.
25, wow.
25. We started out with 27 and 25 would have successfully completed.
Okay. And what was the length of this course as opposed to what the length normally is?
Well, we started somewhere around the 2nd of December. Generally, we would have completed about 23 weeks of training. And so when you look at length, you don't necessarily look at how long they would have been there, but how much training would have been done while they were there. Because we would have braked, I think, like twice for the Christmas season and also for the election.
Okay. Well, you would have preempted my next question. The course would have been interrupted several times. What were some of the reasons for the interruptions?
Well, you know, during the carnival season, that is when you have a high rise in tourists coming. You need more boots on the ground. You need additional manpower. And so it has become tradition, really, that the recruit course that is being conducted while during that season will break to assist in those duties and have some support on the ground, basically.
Okay. So what and what is the normal length of the course?
The normal length of the course should run you about between 22 to 26 weeks. However, what should be considered is that as the years go by, you are adding different things to the curriculum. And so, in reality, the course should be extended. So what you find happening is that when me and you trained some almost 10 years ago, our course ran for, I think it was about 24
almost
weeks.
11.
Well, we had breaks in between, but about 24 weeks of full training. And we now have a host of other topics added to the course training standard. And so you should give extra time to fill in those topics. So you find we have a case where we want to run for the same amount of time but with more topics, and so that means it's more critical to get certain things done, and it's very difficult. Sometimes you have to do classes in the evenings or classes on the weekends and that type of stuff, and it becomes taxing on their brains as well.
It would, but at the end of the day, there are things that as a police officer you have to learn, so the knowledge has to be passed. You spoke of course, the course training standards. Could you explain to the public what that is exactly?
Well, at the training school we have a curriculum and a standard that we follow. Basically, it's a guideline of the training school, and it breaks down basically how the course is set up, how it's divided. I'll take you a bit through it. The course is divided into 5 major components, such as physical training, self-defense, drills, weapon training, and also we have the classroom. When it comes to, for example, the course in and of itself, it's broken down in 3 phases. So you have the first phase, the second phase, and the third phase. The first phase contributes to 15% of the overall aggregate. The second phase contributes to 25%, and the last phase contributes to 60% of the overall aggregate, basically. In terms of the classroom, we break it down in 3 main areas, which is evidence and procedure, criminal law, general duties. In terms of the firearms, it's broken down in 3 areas as well, which is the theory, the hands-on, we call it the TOETs, Test of Elementary Training, and then we have the live firing. And it basically goes on. So it's a lot of things when it comes to the training that you have to go through and ensure that everything is done properly, and you have to keep proper records and assessments and all of that.
So you're saying that all recruits that pass through the walls or the halls of the police training school have to be adequately trained in all areas before they can properly graduate or claim to be a police officer?
To successfully pass the course. There are persons who may come to the training, but you have to successfully pass the course to be considered a full-fledged police officer.
Indeed.
Yes.
All right. Well, with the state of emergency still ongoing, and with the lockdowns we would have had some weeks prior, how would the state of emergency and by extension the lockdown, how would this have affected training?
Well, this may sound very interesting, but although it was very difficult for them on their minds because they're thinking about their families, their loved ones and all of that, we made good use of the situation. We totally locked down the facility and we stayed in. So we continued training, we locked down, shut out from everyone, and we just capitalized on that opportunity and we just continued training. For them it was very difficult, it was very tedious, especially as a recruit, not much information is passed to you, because you are being conditioned to understand it's a rank-driven organization, and when it is necessary, we will pass the relevant information to you. So for them, it was very difficult because they wanted answers about this, answers about that. They were concerned about their families. But it basically worked for us in a very good way. 1, we continued training, and 2, we basically had a reserve force there just in case persons on the front line, would have been affected by COVID-19 and we needed to put extra boots on the ground.
Okay, so you're saying basically during the lockdown period, you were guaranteed a period where there would have been no interruptions.
No interruption at all. No interruption at all.
All right, I see what you're saying. Now, elections would have been recently concluded on the 5th of June, just some weeks prior. How would the recruits have been a part of the election, the operations?
Well, they had the opportunity to work just like every other police officer. It was actually a tremendous experience for them. And
so many, it may have been the first election.
Perhaps. Leading up to the election, we would have done a number of classes and sessions and had persons coming to basically edify them as to the election process in terms of public meetings and processions, what are the laws, the do's, the don'ts, and all of that. So they got a large amount of information that can really assist them in their career. So they had the benefit of that. They were able to speak to persons who were very versed in the Constitution and all of that. So they had a very good experience where election process is concerned.
And I hope that they would have been receptive to all of this information and use it to ensure that they become a better police officer. So now, on a more personal note, Sergeant Boone, what has training school been like for you? What has your experience been being an instructor at police training school?
Being an instructor, sometimes it can be very difficult.
It's an understatement.
You are dealing with persons from different backgrounds, different countries, different cultures. You need to understand that persons receive things differently. And you have to also balance the fact that as an instructor, your job is to get them mentally and physically prepared to be a police officer. And it is not easy transitioning from being a civilian to being a police. You are dealing with persons who might have been the very same persons to say, why police ain't doing the work, police this, police that.
I don't like
These are
police.
the same persons now who have to be able to deal with persons responding to them in that very same light or very same manner.
Correct.
And
Correct.
so it takes a while to condition them out of civilian mode to police mode. Understanding responsibility, understanding accountability. And so as an instructor, our job sometimes entails pushing them mentally, physically. Especially on the parade square. You'll find that on the parade square, persons don't really believe in it, but on the parade square, that is when you really, in layman terms, give them some water. And they have to be able to take it. Because what you don't want is they come out on the street and someone says something to them and they use unnecessary force because of that. So you have to condition them to build up a resistance and a resilience to persons not responding to them in the appropriate manner. Understanding that they're still providing a service to the people and not everyone has the capacity and understanding to behave in a likely manner. And so sometimes it can be very difficult. There are persons who may just not be ready for something like that and would give up. And then sometimes you have to push them because you want to also know the type of individual you are dealing with, because we will make recommendations as to, hey, I believe that this person needs some more training in this area. This person needs to be mentored. This person needs some guidance. This person has a temper issue. So we need to start tracking them from training school. And that's the time in all of those months where we try to eradicate, as it were, some of those issues when it comes to interpersonal skills, customer service, dealing with people, managing your anger, working under stress, all of these things.
Indeed, and it also teaches you, I suspect, to manage persons, because when you have recruits coming in, you have unvarnished and unrefined attitudes and mentalities, and psychologically as well as mentally and physically you have to prepare them.
When it comes to managing recruits, I'm telling you, they come with every trick in the book. Every trick in the book. You have to be able to be so savvy sometimes, and it brings me back to what I always tell them. I tell them two things. One, a baby is not born running.
Correct.
And that basically means to me that if you're here at the training school and you're exhibiting certain traits, it gives us an indication as to what to expect from you. And so, there at the training school, that's your baby stage of policing. And so that is where it all starts. Two, I tell them the ABC of policing as an instructor. Accept nothing. Believe nothing. Confirm everything.
Correct.
And so when one comes and say, I would like to go here to check on my family or do this or do that, well, you have to verify, because as a recruit, they will some of the time say anything just to get out. And so it's all about verifying the information, basically. And so that's what you have to deal with when it comes to recruits a lot of the time.
But by extension, as a police officer and as an investigating official, that is part of your job. You'll hear different stories. Persons will come and say different things to you, but you have to be adept enough at your craft to know that, okay, fine, I hear what you're saying, but you have to ensure that you verify what the stories are in order to exonerate or or probably incriminate.
And you
individuals.
have to condition them to be objectively minded. Sometimes you go to a scene, go to you know, an incident, and you may meet a friend or family member who tells you something. And because of what that person tells you, you're on a journey to prove what they said, which should not be the case. You should be on a journey for the truth.
Correct.
So you must be objectively minded. You must be able to take a step back, assess, evaluate, reevaluate, and make steps towards what I would call the truth. Because the truth has two sides, as persons would say. And so we have to condition them to be objectively minded, to be fair, and to be transparent.
And that is what you want. You know, you want all the hallmarks of a professional police officer, because at the end of the day, when GQ calls the police station to make a report, he doesn't want a slovenly or an indolent or insolent police officer coming to respond. He wants the creme de la creme, so to speak, coming who will professionally, you know, come and take the report and properly investigate in order to bring the perpetrator to justice, or to bring some semblance of justice to the incident.
And
so,
you know, one of the main things that I try to tell them all the time is approach is important.
of course,
Sometimes how the officer approaches an individual can mean everything. If I'm having a bad day, does not mean I should, you know, throw that on you as the public. I should be able to manage my stress. There's good stress and there's bad stress. It depends on how you manage it. And so that is something that is very important.
Gentlemen, before we continue, we're going to take a break.
yes, please.
And then when we return, with your permission, we can also take some calls.
Most definitely.
465-2555, that's the number to call on the opposite side. And if you're overseas, 718-577-2916.
How important it is for you to stay connected with all that's happening. That's why Digicel gives you more ways to top up and activate plans. You can add credits and activate plans on your account online by downloading the My Digicel app or visiting digicelgroup.com. Stay safe and stay connected with St. Kitts and Nevis's favorite network, Digicel.
Perfume Shop Port Zante for all your authentic designer perfumes and colognes. Perfume Shop Port Zante has the largest selection of authentic men and women's fragrances on the island. Perfume Shop Port Zante. Come in, see the selection, and gift yourself to a bottle or two. And remember, you're never fully dressed without perfume. Perfume Shop Port Zante.
All right, welcome back. The lines are open if you have a question or two or a concern that you would like to bring to the officers here. We have Sergeant Richards and our guest this morning, Sergeant Boone. He's the senior trainer at the training complex. Is that correct?
Senior, no. Sergeant Thompson would be the chief instructor.
He's one of the seniors.
Oh, you're one of the seniors?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Just making sure we have our onions and our I's dotted properly and T's crossed. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, police officers.
Yes, morning.
Yes. There is a concern I have about community policing. There's a lot of chatter about community policing, but is it really evident in the communities? I don't think so. Because there are certain behaviors, especially by our young men, when conversing in their respective communities. And the prolific use of bad words needs to stop, because it is sending the wrong message to our youth. The next issue I would highlight is the riding of bicycles on one wheel on the public road when the traffic is so heavy. And it is done by our very young boys following their seniors. And that to me needs to stop. I will end there. Thank you very much for listening.
Gentlemen, any response to that call?
Sergeant Wood, you want to take the first crack at it?
Well, when it comes to community policing, we do have that as a very major part of the training. And so I know on the last course we were not able to do it on this course, but on the last course we would have had teams of recruits, and we will go out with the instructors and go through the community, talk to the people, interact, to give feedback. You know, for the majority part of this course we were under COVID-19, you know, the pandemic, and so we had to practice social distancing and that type of stuff. But it's something that we have very dear to our hearts, because we understand that it's the new way of policing, being a part of the community, interacting with the community. The closer you are to the community, then the more information you will get, the more the community trusts you. And so it's very important for us, and it is something that we really, you know, put a lot of effort into at the police training school. When it comes to the bicycles and the one wheels, wow, I also see it as a big issue. I'm seeing it a bit more predominant now, especially in the Bastia area, because you have a number of youths who will be going around, driving around. These are young people. Some of them may be around 11, 12, 13, 14, that type of age group. And sometimes the type of behaviors that you see on the bicycles, it's really not nice. And so it will be incumbent upon us, the police, to really do something about it. Perhaps we need to confiscate some of these bikes, come on the radio, talk to the parents, sensitize them as to what is accepted and what is not where bicycles are concerned. Sensitize them as to the dangers, how you are affecting the road users. And maybe the police should take a more vigorous approach in confiscating some of these bikes, or holding the children and maybe sometimes the parents accountable for this.
All right, let's take another call. Let's take line 1. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Thank you for the program. A question, or a couple questions. The officer listed some 5 areas, he says, that the training normally covers. Is it possible you could just run through those 5 areas again for me quickly, please?
Okay. The five major areas will be physical training, self-defense, drills, weapon training, classroom, but that does not mean that there are not other areas. These are the main areas.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Okay.
And then the other question, in psychology, I would like to think that psychology is one of the taught subjects.
Yes, correct.
That the officers would do.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. My personal view is that you mentioned about something was mentioned about enforcement, and generally speaking, I think police officers probably taught that they are enforcers of the law, and I'm not sure if that's maybe the best choice of word we would want to continue to use, because ultimately I see policing as one of the many strands that we need and is necessary for us to build healthy community relationships. And for me, policing is about helping to build relationships. The word enforce or enforcement, it kind of carries this sense of aggression, you know, with it. At least for me, that's how I see it and tend to understand it. When you talk about enforcement, there is some sense of aggression that comes along with that. And, you know, with all that's happening and so on, I think we need to encourage our officers to see themselves as part of the community, and their work is to help to build, you know, healthy relationships in the community, help people to build a healthy relationship with the law, you know, understanding the law and obeying the law and things like that. So I just wanted to share that. And thanks for the program. I'll continue to listen.
Thank you for your contribution, I should say. Let's take another call. I'm going to take one from the overseas end. Good morning. You're live. Yes, you're live. Go ahead. All right, so we lost that one on the overseas end. Let's take line 2. Hi, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay. I have 2 questions for you today, and I need an answer. I would like to know if excess noise is against the law.
That's one.
Huh?
That's one. That's one. 2.
Okay, because I'm saying that because I don't know if you ever been around the ferry terminal on Fridays and Saturdays. As soon as you're approaching the ferry terminal going in, this amount of noise, excess noise down there. Some the booth people complaining, but they probably afraid to let you all know. They cannot hear the phone when the phone ringing. Sometimes when the customer begin to speak to them, calling for things, they can't understand. They have to talk hard in the ear and all that. So I would like to know if the excess noise is against the law.
The excess noise that you're speaking of is as a result of loud music being played?
Loud, man, yes.
Okay. Question number 2?
Okay, number 2. The sidewalk, what the sidewalk really for? The sidewalk.
For the pedestrians, sir.
Okay, and the road is for?
For vehicles.
Okay. Now, sometime last week, walking on the sidewalk, close to the public market. This coconut or jelly man, take the whole sidewalk up. I have to walk in the street. And when I tell him about it, he saying, that's why murder gonna happen, I think it's robbing gonna happen, I think it's, hey, we try to make a bread. And hear what you're saying. Eh? Why not be the ignorant talking? So I believe that all sidewalk vendors should move from out the sidewalk, man. We the pedestrians not supposed to be in the street walking. That's it for now.
Okay. In relation to the excessive noise, yes, it is an offense. That is why persons will have to apply for permission to have loud music. And so if it is a case where anyone is being affected by excess noise, then all they have to do is make a report. Even if you were granted permission to have loud music, at the latter part of the permission, it clearly states that if any members of the public are being affected and make a complaint, the police will come and ask you to turn it down, or they could close off.
The permission for it.
Basically. So when it comes to excessive noise, as long as it's bothering you, you can make a report and the police can ask them to turn it down, and if they don't comply, then the police can revoke that permission which would have been granted. In relation to the sidewalk, yes, it is for the pedestrians. I think you are speaking more towards the vendors using the sidewalk. I know that there are some vendors that would have had permission too. I'm not sure in which location or where. Perhaps it's something that should be discussed a bit further, because you don't really want to give the notion that you are trying to affect persons from making a living. So it's a topic that we have to be very careful when we address to ensure that everyone is comfortable. I don't know if perhaps maybe the discussion to be had is to create an area for them specifically so that they can operate, so that the pedestrians are not affected when using the road. But I don't believe that there's a blanket I can put on that for now. I believe that that issue may deserve some further discussions.
Correct.
All right, gentlemen, let's take another call. Let's take line 3 this time. Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
About the guys them who riding on the children on the bicycle. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. We're hearing you.
Yes. In the West Ham area, from West Ham, like maybe Challengers area, I'm not saying somebody, I'm telling you I'm a driver. And these children will, when they done dusting in, a whole set of them coming around the corner. You going at a certain speed, you will kill every one of them. No light, no reflector, nothing. And that's been going on for a while. It's not just in Basque, also in the whole road area. Sometimes I see them between Watts area. Sometimes I make them coming round the corner by Challengers area. And then they got the front wheel up in the air, doing all kind of things, right in the middle of the road. So it's not just Basque, you all need to look into that area there as well. So anyway, good morning.
Okay,
This is Junie Liber.
Hey, morning, Junie.
Okay,
All right,
you.
thanks for calling. Thanks for calling. You want to address her before we take another call?
Yes, when it comes to the bicycles, it's actually something that I commend, you know. I know sometime before they came up with something, bikes not bombs or something like that. And it's a good thing when the young people can find something to do. I think what we need to do is perhaps maybe go into the communities and have some conversations with them and their parents and see what we can do, where it's bells and lights, educate them, allow them to know what they should or should not do, where they can go at what point in time, because they are young and sometimes they don't even know what their danger is. They think it's having fun, they don't realize it's dangerous. And so the police really would need to look into that, and I will address that concern and push it on. So we will look into it and see the best that we can do to bring better to that situation.
But also to add to that, Sergeant Bone, the Vehicle and Road Traffic Act speaks to bicycles, motorcycles, and unicycles. The description for a bicycle and a motorcycle is a two-wheel propelled vehicle, and a unicycle is one wheel. There is no hybrid. So that simply means if you have a bicycle or a motorcycle on one wheel, that should not be.
Okay, that's against the law.
That is against the law.
Automatic.
Correct.
All right, let's try the overseas line. Last time we didn't get you. Let's hope we get you this time. Hi, good morning. You're live.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
My question is to the officers there. Did they say they got 25 recruits which will be graduating?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay, now, do you think that how am I trying to phrase it in this way? My situation is, I mean, where I live, we have a police academy. They do not only train police. They train people from the Department of Health, the lottery, consumer affairs. All these agencies have their own police. You know, so why not? Well, I guess it's not up to you. I guess this got to be done by law, but I mean, it's unfair to be going through a whole, course of training 25 people. Because you may lose people along the way. Somebody may drop out for whatever reason. My thing is, the powers to be should be enable these agencies to send people to the training school to become law enforcement, not police, law enforcement. Yeah, I mean, we got waste management always crying out. After these people graduate, they would go back to waste management, and they would go through their procedure there. But they are law enforcement. These people call about people with wheelie, and we do not have enough police. That's the problem there. So, you got custom. To be a custom officer, you have to go to the training. We got custom officers, downtown walking with their pants down, across their bottom, all because they have not experienced the discipline from being trained as law enforcement. We got the resources, but we are not using it. The people are already there. Train them to be law enforcement. When the see things happen because they do not have any authority, they will just pass straight. Even though they might be customs, correction officers, And all these agencies I name out to you, all of them got to go to the training school. But then they go back to the correction and go through the classes there, but they are law enforcement.
All right, caller, your point has been made. I'll let the officer address that now. Thank you for calling.
So when it comes to the training, you are correct. All of them need training. Perhaps it's for me to let you know exactly what happens, because all of these areas are being trained, but not in the same location, because the facility presently will not be able to accommodate all of these different agencies at the same time. I know they are in the process of constructing the new multi-center for training, and you will have customs, police, fire, all of those persons will be utilizing the facility, and you can have a major course running with some other courses, even do CBI programs and that type of stuff. So it is something that is being done, but not how you are perceiving it at this stage, because we will not be able to accommodate everyone at that facility to train everyone. So customs are conducting their training, the prison is conducting their training, the army is conducting their training, the police, all of that. Okay?
I was just about to add, notwithstanding that, you know, there's all of them aren't being trained at the police training school. Each agency conducts their own training sessions, particularly for new enlistment. So you do have some level of training. I don't know to what level the caller is speaking of when he speaks to training, but each individual agency has their own level of training that is conducted.
Correct.
All right, gentlemen, let's take another call. All right, let's bounce back to line 1. Oh, we lost that one. Let's try line 2. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Concerning the bike men, you don't think it's right if you could have a meeting with them on a partial, invite all of them, both cycle and bicycle men, to have the meeting? Tell them the do's and the don'ts?
Well, the cyclist, I mean, that can work, but the bicycle, you're talking about 12 and 11 years old and 14 and 15 years old.
In the different community.
You'll have to reach out to the parents and see what can happen, really. I would prefer to have a conversation with them in the presence of their parents, as opposed to just pulling some 15-year-olds and 12-year-olds and having a conversation with them. We'll have to be careful where that is concerned.
Well, just try it still, with both parents and white men.
Yes. That is a wonderful suggestion.
Thank you.
I'll make a note of it. Thank you.
All right, let's take another call. Let's try line 3. Hi, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I would like this morning, this is out of the forum, I think, but I'm going to say it. I am so proud of Sergeant Boone. Knowing him as a little boy in Sandy Point here, I look at him, he was always promising. And I knew that one day he would have become something very special. Sergeant Boone, God bless you and continue your good work, and I love you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
You could have asked. You could have asked. You could have asked. No, she did. But obviously, she knew you very well.
Yes.
Let's try line 3. Hi, good morning.
Yes.
Hey.
I'm late, but I'm waiting. Pleasant good morning to the officers.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
You all may heard about Vinci and Lappy, and you associate those two names with bicycle and bicycle racing. All my life I've been racing bike, and let me say this here: the only time my front wheel is not on the ground is when I get a fall. Because we go all over the world representing St. Kitts in bicycle racing. And whenever you see us on the road, we make sure we tell the others who knew how to handle the road. You never obstruct traffic from behind and coming in front. And anybody agree with these youngsters lifting up their handle in the street, they should stop it. Because it is wrong and bad. If you want to be on a one wheel, buy a unicycle and ride it on the sidewalk, not in the street where vehicle coming wrong. We don't have 10 cars now, we got 50,000 cars. And they do it, they wait until they see the road busy with vehicle and cutting cross and cutting in. They need to stop it. Done with it, otherwise they're going to put innocent drivers in trouble. Now, one question, and again, is what we call, is profane language, what we call bad word. Is it legal to be used in the public places? Because that is the norm. I had to pay $50 a time for swear a bad word. And then I was with the police, he said, I'm going to summon you. I said, okay, that's the law. And then because I just come back from St. Thomas, and it's legal long to bust them in the street. So, you know, so I forget where I was. So I want to know if it is okay now to swear bad word in public places. Thanks for taking my call. Have a good day, gentlemen.
I'll let Sergeant Richards touch on this one.
Well, what I can say is what we called indecent, insulting, and abusive language is still illegal in our jurisdiction. Laws are not extra jurisdictional. That simply means what may be allowed or what may be illegal in one jurisdiction, as he spoke of St. Thomas, would not be the same for us. So for us, it is illegal to do so. So you should refrain from doing so for fear of prosecution. What would be allowed on their books in St. Thomas won't be for us. So yes, it is in fact illegal here. As recently as Monday, yes, there was a conviction for the said indecent language.
Oh, really?
Yes,
in court.
Yes, definitely. I was present.
So, yes, it is still on the books.
All right. All right, we're going to bounce over to, okay, let's go back to line one. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, GQ.
Yes, morning.
What happened to, good morning to the police officers.
Good morning, good morning.
You all trying very hard, you know. So, it's no problem. Now, officers, the reason why all these things is happening, they got talk show radio program. You all come on at traffic talk and all kind of different radio programs. And some of these parents don't listen to the radio. And the children them don't listen to the radio. They wouldn't know what's going on. You understand? And I earlier call to talk about the pedestrian crossing and the pedestrian sidewalk where people have got to walk. You understand? And that is a terrible right now. Right now we're getting out of hand. If you go on 4th Street right now, you see a guy there with wrong provision selling. And I don't think it is right. We got a market down there, and I believe that if everybody go in the market, everybody will make their money. You understand? And I just hope they make a holy move on this to get some of these food vendors, I mean these agriculture vendors who sell agriculture products, get them off the road and let them go in the market go sell. Because it is, everybody is complaining about it. Anyway, wonderful program as usual.
Okay, man. Thanks much.
All right, we missed those two calls here. 465-2555 and 718-577-2916. Let's try this overseas call. Hi, good morning.
Yeah, Jacob, me again. I just want to respond to something the sergeant say. I was referring to basic police training. And again, nothing is wrong with what the other agencies training the officers to do, you know. I'm talking about the basic police training. And after that training, they go back to their respective agencies and do the training up there related to their work. But they will be law enforcement officers. That's the point I was trying to make.
Okay, I understand what you're saying now. I know that, for example, for the island constables, you know, we would have run a course for them, and you would take basically the basics. You would take like the first 6 weeks of training. And so I understand what he's saying. If they can get the fundamentals, the basics of the first 6 weeks, and then they go to their respective agencies, okay, that's a discussion that can be had. I fully understand what you're saying now.
All right, let's go back to the line. Let's try line 2. Good morning, you're live.
Hello, good morning, JQ and the office today.
Hi, morning.
Yes, everything all the callers coming talking is true. Up to the other day, I saw a young person, right? And he read a dash across me. I said, man, you look like you can throw me down. And I say, what happened? They say, you ain't supposed to do that, you know. Just look back. The parents need to tell the children them that is now. We got some park. I remember the opening park. Where they don't just go ride. In Bratcher days, they couldn't do it, you know. I see them dog, you know. We were right through the square. We never used to do that. I don't know what happening to this country. Right when it comes to that. And next situation again, we got this noise down here. I spoke to the guy up to yesterday, and it's my little neighbor there, you know. Yeah, you need to go and speak to him. Somebody went to speak to him this Saturday, and he tell the person, we don't know within we 60s going. But he ain't sure he's going to live that he just in the parties, and he must stop that. When people come to buy, people want to relax right now. We ain't gonna go to customer let the phone out because it's stupid hard noise, you know. Because if you're buying from me and you're going to be saying, I want just 3 scores, you know, like you're belling out your mouth. You need to go and speak to him. I told him up till I said, look, I was in a place yesterday, a restaurant, a lady take me there, and she had a nice, you know, drink, and while she having her little lunch, and it was so quiet, and you could hear the music clear, and it was low. Y'all need to go and speak to me, in here, you know him. Right, the guy running in the corner, he's going in the terminal. You all need to go and speak to him because he's tired. When I speak to him, he tell me one Saturday, you don't go home, you see you old. You must done with that. He young yet, everybody know, but he ain't sure he will come old like us. And other thing again, the sidewalk, the market. Let them go down in the market. They need to go down there. When you look, you got to come off the sidewalk and go down in the road. The other day, dodging from a car, when you look at a car right up on them, come enjoy. Today, by KFC, you know, I beg you tell the government, you know, election done now and do the work. That's what we put them there for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Any response, gentlemen, or you would take another call?
Take another call.
All right. Line 3, you're live. Good morning.
GQ.
Yes, morning.
Stop some of them women with the 45 plane. People want to get in is important. GQ, good morning to the police and them and the sergeant. I want to ask some questions. I just don't want to know when last them holding cell in the station clean. And I want to know why is it the janitor at the station can't get fitted when he volunteered to clean the station because the prisoners coming over. Because he deserves the money, and somebody must clean the station. The yard room cannot smell in stink. The other day I heard that a mental person was locked up, and they mess up the name, the cell. You understand? Man, petty man. I'm calling on the commissioner to pay the guy. Pay him, he's volunteering to do these things. Pay him, he deserves money. The station must got somebody looking out for him. That's how this was running now. It will get down and Stafford to make sure that they're clean a couple of years ago, you know. Seeing them out. Because these things must happen. You come like when the human rights people them coming around and send them up there to them. Have a good day, GQ.
All right, jam down.
You're the man at the queue.
All right, jam down. Gentlemen, in response, we're going to take some more calls.
Well, just to address that very quickly, GQ, the police stations are what we call fatigued in police nomenclature every morning at 5 a.m. Okay, so whatever shift is working is responsible for cleaning both the cells and the police station. As it relates to a janitor cleaning the station and being paid, I can't speak to that. But what I can say to that caller is that he has to be very careful when he speaks about pay or remuneration and volunteer in the same sentence.
Point taken. Let's take the next call. Line 1, you are live. Good morning.
Good morning. How is everybody?
Good morning. Good morning.
Fine, thanks.
Okay. Now, in terms of the young persons with the bike, I don't know if this is not dealt with properly. I don't think it will be the end of it. Because I don't know, they are young, and in their youthful exuberance, they're going to do a lot of things. I think one of the reasons they do this is maybe to be seen. I believe that. So maybe what needs to be done is to have an area. I think they need to select an area where it could be like a racetrack for them, and it could turn into a type of sporting activity where, you know, persons can go and watch them compete. Just like how they have the dirt bike thing competition in other countries and so on, something similar to that. Otherwise, they're going to be in the street. And I think I heard one of the officers say, you know, they're young and they don't know their danger. They do, you know. They do. But I think they take it for granted that once they're on the street and whoever is behind the wheel has to stop. They feel to themselves that the drivers have to stop. Because if anything happens and the driver ends up in court, they don't look at it to say, well, the driver is the one who always is in the wrong. Because this is what they say, right? The driver is in the wrong. So they don't look at the youth and said, well, you know, they need to do this. And finally, I think the overseas caller, when he talk about other persons in the different agencies being trained and so on, I'm glad that he sort of clear it up in a bit, because what I was thinking along the line from based on what he said, the law enforcement area, yes, let the police, as another caller said, do community building of relationships. But the law enforcement for these other agencies, what I want to know is, if there is anything that is amiss where the law is broken with regards to these other agencies, whether the port and whatever, do they have the authority to apprehend and arrest? I think that's where the law enforcement is, where the guy is making reference to. Do they have the authority to apprehend and arrest? I'll continue to listen.
Got you. In terms of apprehension and arrest, of course, these other agencies will have such powers depending on what area. For example, let's talk about customs. Customs have certain powers that not even the police have. That's something that the public may not even be aware of. Where there are some cases where the police will need a warrant to enter your premises, customs does not. Customs can enter your premises
based on the legislation.
Based on the legislation, seize goods and charge you for the goods if you cannot prove that you would have brought them in or purchased them legally.
Evading taxes.
Exactly. So they do have certain powers, and the judge's rules are very clear. Whichever body or organization is involved in investigating must follow the judge's rules, and so these are the critical topics that all agencies must know as long as they are involved in investigation, be it inland revenue, be it customs, whatever the case is. They will need to have that basic knowledge and information. So I do agree with the caller when it comes to giving them the basics, and then they can be specialized in the area, because we must be on the same page where the law is concerned. They are, however, guided by their laws, their acts, and they will have power in certain areas, whether it is to effect an arrest or to call in the police to assist, whatever the case may be. I hope that answers your question, ma'am.
All right, we're going to take the last two calls, and then we're going to wrap up our program this morning. Hi, good morning, you're live.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, it's the motorcycle men, if they that are insurance.
She's asking if the motorcycle man has insurance.
All right. Judging from you guys' response, we'll take the next call then. Good morning, you live?
Yeah, good morning, GQ.
Yes,
good morning to the officers.
Yes.
Good morning, good morning.
Yeah, Oliana Carlos was talking about the vendors there. I believe the police them need to do. They are vigilant enough to watch the trend of the vendors them. The vendors them, you don't have a lot already on the road. But every now and again, you see one pop up somewhere. The police them need to out there, so when you see a new one, just pop up, before you go too far, you stop them. That is what needs to do. Because if you go down on the Bay Road by the bus terminal, just above from the bakery, a lady just gone there, right on the road there, so. And you know, you ain't have no good walkway. A vendor just gone there, just newly. And that is something that somebody should get up and one time and tell her when she cannot be there.
Can you move away from the noise? We're not hearing your point clearly.
Yeah, so I was saying, right, down there by the bus terminal, the new bus terminal building, have a vendor just gone there. She must be just started maybe last week. Something like that, the police them should have just get up and tell her, well, you cannot be here. You understand? But some of them who done there long time, you're going to have to take a long time to move them. But the one with us there, they should have make a move from there. Don't let us go there and spend 3, 4, 5 months. Then young guys hard to move over. These are things that the police they need to do. Look for the new ones then we're just going down and stop them right away. Because they're taking over the streets in town. All right then.
Okay.
All right, that's going to be our final call for this morning. You want to address that, Sergeant Boone?
In relation to the vendors, the police will have to be careful not to discriminate in terms of who should be there and who should not be there. So it's not about who is old and who is new. It's more a case of who may have the requisite permission to be there.
Correct.
And
correct.
so that is something that we will have to address completely, not partially. So we'll have to be careful as it pertains to that. With reference to the earlier call in terms of insurance, all vehicles on the road must be insured. In fact, that is an arrestable offense if your vehicle is not insured. And that also applies to the bicycles. They have to insure them as well. In terms of not the bicycles like the pedal bikes, but in terms of the motorbikes and all of those stuff, they have to be insured as well, to answer that caller.
Correct, and just to agree about the vendors, again, that is a situation that one has to tread very carefully on, because you don't know who would have acquired the requisite permission. So in the absence of more information, I wouldn't want to address that and speak as an authority. But what I see coming out, GQ, is that the motorcyclists and the bicyclists, they seem to be posing an issue. A cause for concern. So one would have to take it up with our superiors and see how best we can address the situation. But so Sergeant Boone, finally, before you wrap up, this year's ceremony is different when juxtaposed to that. The graduation ceremony for the recruits is different when juxtaposed to that of previous years. How is this year's ceremony different, and why is it different?
Well, traditionally, we'll always have the actual passing out ceremony where you have an official ceremony, all invited guests, their families, friends get to come and watch them. They will do the march pass, inspection, all of that. This time, we are not having that. We are having a closed ceremony, basically, at the Marriott. And the recruits are not even able to bring their family members and that type of stuff, because we need to make sure that as the police we set an example where social distancing and so forth is concerned. And so I believe that they erred on the side of caution and decide that, hey, let's do the ceremony like this. Sometime in the future, depending on what's happening, we can have an official passing out ceremony. So in this case, they are basically getting just a certificate to show that they have successfully completed the course. We are not announcing anything yet in terms of best recruit, all of these things. We are saving that for a later date when we have the actual ceremony. So those persons who would want to be there to see their loved ones and friends actually pass out, hopefully sometime in the near future, if all goes well, they'll be able to participate in that ceremony. But for now, it's a closed ceremony, just in-house. All of the now fully fledged police officers are there, along with certain specially invited guests, and we will issue them their certificates and all of that.
Well, GQ, for me, any closing words, Sergeant Boone? Sorry, before I get into wrapping up.
Well, for persons who may have an interest in joining the police force, I know that lots of people think about it, but they don't really know what it entails. So let me tell you, it is something very good, and it can be something very difficult. So it depends on what you really want to do. It is not as strenuous as it was back then, Sergeant Richards, when you and I chained. It was very difficult back then.
Correct.
It's not that difficult now. More emphasis is being placed on the classroom, being able to deal with people, understanding the law. It's not as physically based as it was back then. Not saying that there are not demands physically, but it's not as strenuous as it was back then. And so you would see persons in the police force and you look at them and you should tell yourself, if that person made it, I can make it too. And so what you need to have though when you come, you need to be strong mentally.
The right mindset.
It's not about physical It's about mental strength. That is what you need in able to pass through the training school. So if you are committed and dedicated, and while you are there, you develop that level of discipline, you'll be just fine.
Well, you know, Sergeant Boone, I want to thank you for coming. One of the things, GQ, I consider the foundation of any organization is training. And training should be at the vanguard, particularly for the police force. Any person who would have, you know, successfully completed the training course and is now a full-fledged police officer, in my view, is a well-trained police officer. Okay? Training is continuous, yes, so there are certain things that you would have to continue to develop as you progress to the police force. But when it comes to basic training, and there's a reason why it is 26 weeks, because you can't just take up someone today and make them a police officer today. You have to be trained to become a police officer. So again, in my view, it is any police officer out there is a well-trained police officer. So I wanna thank you for coming, Sergeant Boone, and shedding some light on you know what it is to be an instructor at the police training school, and what training on a whole encompasses as it relates to training police recruits. GQ, again, thank you for having me. This has been another edition of Policing with You. I've been your host today, Sergeant Richards. Tune in again next week for another edition.
What you think about justice? What you know?